And we would like to welcome to the Soul2Soul virtual studio today, Medina. Thank you so much for coming along.
Oh, it's fantastic to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You are an incredibly busy person. I'm just amazed by how much you do. You're an author, you're a musician, you're a life coach. Wow, how did you start down this road?
That's a good question. Well, I would owe to my daughter. When she was 2 years old, she was going through that terrible 2 phase. And you know what they're like when they're 2 years old. And I'd say, Hanny, could you please do this? And she'd say, no, I don't want to. Every time I asked her something, she said, no, I don't want to. And I thought, now I don't really want to shout. I don't want to get angry. I really need to learn to meditate. So I went to a local community class in meditation, and I started taking the classes, and the teacher was amazing. And she said to me, well, you'll be teaching this, in a short time you'll be teaching meditation. And I thought, what? I won't be teaching that, surely not. And then I was, sure enough, after a period of time, I began taking classes and teaching, and that was the beginning of my spiritual journey. And they say each child brings us a gift. And so I feel like that was her gift for me to really get me on that track, because I'd always had a yearning to learn meditation, but it had never really taken off fully. And at that point it did. So that was wonderful. And really from there, all the other spiritual modalities that I learnt, which is like becoming a Reiki master and a whole range of different things, stemmed from that, really.
Right. Now, had you already been doing singing before that?
Yes, I was singing from a very young age, actually. I think I came out of the birth canal singing. quite possibly. I'll have to ask my mum about that. But I always sang in school, like primary school, and when I was in a singing group in primary school, the singing teacher asked us if we wanted to go on a big show at that time, Young Talent Time. So we all said yes, and then I was asked to sing a solo with, and they sang in the chorus, and I sang the solo on Young Talent Time. So from that early stage, I was always singing, and it just was, for me, we speak the English language, well, I speak the English language, and singing and music is more of a language for me than speaking English. Like, to me, it conveys more, it expresses more of my soul and who I am. So, yeah.
Fascinating. I've got a story about Young Talent Time, but I'll wait until after this to tell you. It's very good.
Great, love to.
So now, you've also written some books. Tell us about your books.
Okay, sure. Well, I've always been a writer. I did English literature at uni and that sort of thing. And I think it takes time to experience life before you have something really valuable to say. I tried writing when I was 20, and I feel like I hadn't had enough life experience or, value to contribute to write anything of great worth. But now, as I'm older, I've had plenty of experiences, challenges, as we all do on the planet. And so my first book was, I've got it here, and I want to actually give it to you as a gift. It's called Hilarious Poems, and it's got amazing illustrations by a stunning artist, international artist, Mark Payne. Right. And so that's a gift.
Thank you very much.
For you and Patricia.
Go this way as well. Fantastic. Thank you. That's beautiful. We look forward to looking at that.
So it's all about fun aspects of life, quite comic, but it relates on different levels because it's for kids, but it's got different layers of meaning that are also for adults as well. And
I like the subtitle, by a 6-year-old adult.
That's right. I like being irreverent in my humour.
Excellent. I will really enjoy looking. Please look it up, go buy it.
And so then I created a lot of other books, such as Goddess, with paintings that I've done that are with quotes that have come through, higher quotes and higher knowledge. And I wrote a biography of an amazing man called Unexpected. That all my books, I try to have some important message or meaning in there that's going to be productive. Right. And I've also got a stunning book called Soul, which is spiritual oneness, unity, love. and it's got these photos by an incredible photographer, Guy Barton, and then with affirmations that I've brought through, and just a lot of other books that I've got on there, books for kids. There's a book called Tale of the Crown, which is a story about a child who is learning to really love themselves, to find their own self-worth. And the crown is a metaphor for when they put it on their head for really loving the soul or the spiritual being that they are.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm going to have to look up some of these books. Fantastic. Because I knew that you had a range of books out, but I hadn't actually read them all myself. So, yeah, fantastic.
Thank you, Steve.
Being a musician myself, I know that when I started down a more spiritual journey, the real challenge was finding ways of combining my old musical world, if you like, with this new spiritual world. Did you have a challenge along those lines too, because you came from being a singer and then had your spiritual awakening, as it were? Did you have to try and find a way to make those worlds work?
Well, I guess I haven't been doing singing as much in terms of my work, with my holistic coaching. There was, for example, one incident which was incredible that I combined the two. I was doing a spiritual healing session for a lady, and she went into like a deep trance state. And I wasn't quite sure, but I just followed my guidance about how to get her out of that. And I got guided to sing her the song, the stunning song Evergreen, Barbara Streisand song.
Yes.
And she came out of the state and she woke up, quite brightly and said, that is incredible that you sang that song. I said, why? And she said, that was always my favourite song, and my husband and I chose that as our theme song at our wedding, our marriage. So in that way I was able to combine it. I would love to follow that up more and bring through the sound therapy side of things with the healing. And in terms of my own energy and my personal life, I sing in my own space because I think it's really great to help your vibration and stay in your joy and to spur your creativity and all those sorts of things. So on a personal level, yes, but not so much incorporating it into the work as such. Yeah.
I find the resonance of vocalization in general just amazing, whether it's going through vocal lessons for voice projection or for singing. Just the resonance you get in the cavities within the body, it's an amazing feeling.
It is true. And for me, one of the things I'm working on as a feminine presence in the world is standing in my divine power, and that's about resonating from that solar plexus area, and that's your empowerment center. So when you speak from that space, it has a different resonance to if you're out of your power and it's sort of more up here, in the throat area. Yeah.
Now tell us a bit about your holistic coaching.
Okay, sure. Well, I do sessions now through my website, mycreativetherapies.com, and the sessions are currently, I'm offering 2 free sessions, which is exciting, and they incorporate half an hour of spiritual healing work. So I get a channel divine wisdom, divine knowledge, and then I do that for approximately half an hour depending on the client, and then I do approximately 15 minutes of business coaching, which can be on social media, whole ranges of guidance in terms of how a person gets their business out to the world. I'm getting a lot of women who have been in very professional careers, really capable women, but they're now being guided to follow their higher calling, their divine purpose, and they want to step into that, and they've got that bridge that they want to step over from being in their old life to being in this new life that they're wanting to create of their beautiful calling that they really want to step into. And I feel like the energies at the minute on the planet, particularly this year 2016, are really encouraging people to step into their higher purpose now and to follow that guidance, because imagine if we all step into our joy and we're doing the thing that's totally in alignment with our soul. Imagine the shift on the planet that's going to happen when we all do that. So I help women predominantly do that, step into that energy, and often they're blocked, and the healing session is to do with clearing blockages, to do with like self-esteem, disempowerment, all those sorts of things which stop us from being
Moving
in our
forward, yeah.
beautiful purpose.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's fantastic. And how long have you been actually doing that now, that side of things?
Well, I've been doing that spiritual healing side for many years, probably about 20 years now. And the social media business side of things, just in the last few years, I've been really doing a lot of training and education myself and learning about all this and being able to incorporate it, because I think a lot of our path that we're heading towards is online, and now the great thing that we can do as spiritual workers is we can go online and utilize our gifts in that way rather than having to do it face to face. It works just exactly the same.
Exactly, yeah.
And such an amazing way of connecting with people throughout the world. I've got clients in America and Thailand and all over the place. So it's fantastic to be able to use that technology in that way. And so I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Look, technology has been a wonderful thing for this whole industry.
I know.
It's really helped us interconnect and it sort of manifest, if you like. The World Wide Web is almost like a manifestation of those energy connections that we've been building for years before that. So.
It's so wonderful in that way. And we can watch all these amazing spiritual things on there that in the past have been closed to us and that really raise our consciousness and vibration. I personally focus on just putting that energy out into the world in terms of all the work I do with Parents After Kids and with the website. Yeah.
Now that's great that you mentioned that, because I was just about to talk about some videos of yours that I've seen recently. We'll actually briefly have a look at one now.
Hi, my name is Medina and I'm really excited to welcome you to the Parents After Kids group. I have set up this group to address issues that I see in society of parents having a lack of support for a whole range of parenting issues. It could be that children are growing up and leaving the home, and parents often find this a very difficult thing to adjust to, or it could be things like parents going through divorce, there's levels of conflict, and the children are possibly encouraged by one of the parents to alienate the other parent. I see a lot of parental alienation happening in society. And it could be just even the issues of relating to teenagers and how that can be a challenge for many parents. So basically, I've set this up as a support system with wonderful members on board. I'm so happy to have these wonderful people involved in this group, and I welcome you to make as many contributions as you want. We have daily themes, but if you have other important posts you'd like to post, that's fine too. We'll have resources, tools, and lots of wonderful things coming in this group that will be valuable for your parenting journey. And it can even incorporate you can see the title has a lot of different meanings. Parents After Kids can be parents after kids have moved out of the home and they're getting on with their own lives and, fulfilling their own destinies and their own purposes. And so PAC is appropriate, the, letters of Parents After Kids, because often it's, after kids have packed and moved out, then we have to reevaluate our lives as parents. If we've put a lot of energy and invested a lot of time into our kids, then many parents find that it's quite challenging to build new foundations for themselves at that time. So this is what PAC's all about. I'm so excited that you've joined, and please invite your friends, anyone that needs support in this area, to come and join in on this fantastic initiative that I can thank for, because without all your involvement you wouldn't be here. So thank you so much, and I really look forward to hearing from you. Bye.
That's fantastic. Now, this 7-day challenge, tell us a bit about what that's all about.
Sure. Well, thank you for asking. I set up a group on Facebook called Parents After Kids. And the reason being, I went into my own authentic story of my life and what I've found challenging. And I analysed that, and I thought, well, you know, the area that I feel that I would have needed the most support in is in terms of a parent. As a single parent, found it very, very difficult. And also I look at my lineage, my ancestry, and my parents both had stories where they had very challenging experiences with their parenting. My mother's mother passed when she was 12 years old. Oh, wow. And so her father, and in those days they didn't really look after the young girls, the males, because they didn't feel that they were equipped to do that. So she was shipped off to an aunt and a family friend to be looked after in Adelaide with her sister. So that was her parenting experience from that young age. And my father's father left when he was young. He was 14 and his father just disappeared. He never saw him again. And you can imagine the impact of that. So later in my life, and this is a fascinating story, I'm diverging somewhat,
That's
but anyway,
right.
he came to me, the spirit of my grandfather. He came to me at night. The whole bedroom would go cold. I had a little dog, and he'd come in and go ooh and start howling, and this energy would come in. And at first I didn't know what it was for, and then after a period of time I realized that it was my grandfather, and he was very, very upset because he had no relationship with my father because he'd left, and my father was very angry and upset at him. And he had not left the planet. He'd wandered for like 25 years, 30 years around being unresolved because he wanted to resolve this relationship with my father. And so my father is a chartered accountant.
Oh, right.
Very part of the mainstream. You can just imagine. And he asked me to do this intervention where we were able to resolve, these issues so that he could go to the light. So anyway, I was extremely nervous. And I asked my dad to come over, and I had an extra chair then, and he came in and he said, "What's the extra chair for?" And I said, "Well, actually." And so he sat down, my grandfather sat down, and for an hour I channeled this, basically an intervention or a situation where he was able to express his truth, why he left. And basically the reason he left was he was so low in self-esteem. He thought that there was no way that he would be a good father to my dad, and that my dad would actually be better off if he left. So he disappeared, and my dad never saw him again. And so my dad, I asked him at the end of that if he could go into his heart, find forgiveness, and allow this being his father to go to the light. So my dad did it first, and he didn't really genuinely feel it. I said, "No, Dad, you've got to actually really go. You've got to feel it." So I did this little technique. We went into his heart chakra, saw a flame of unconditional love, and found true acceptance and forgiveness. And then I felt all this energy, and he went to the light, and I never had a visit from him again. And he'd been visiting me for a long time. So that was very interesting. And so that, again, the parenting story there told me that parents need a lot of support at the moment. And so I set up this group on Facebook, and it's really booming. We're up to about 600 members, and they're hopping on board all the time. And I have wonderful free resources, tools, information for them that's really beneficial. And so I set up a 7-day challenge, and that was really a series of videos on a whole range of issues that are really important to parenting. Things like, having forgiveness, having a really great connection in understanding our own parents and also with our children, forgiveness. There's another technique called reframing in there, which is really powerful. So these are some really important exercises, I think, that help us as parents. And it's all free. So if they go to Parents After Kids, they'll be able to find that, or it's also online as Parents After Kids 7-Day Challenge. And so I'd love people to hop on board and do that.
It sounds like you've really channeled a lot of your own experience and knowledge into being able to bring this group up.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. And I think that's a fantastic idea for people to sort of go into the areas that they found that were challenging and use that experience and wisdom to bring that into the world to help. in the way that they can. As a single parent, I found it very, very challenging, and I know that there's a whole range of parents out there, as well as happily married parents who join my group. There are divorced, single parents who also, I'm finding a common thing out there is there's this thing called parental alienation, where families go apart through divorce, and kids are encouraged sometimes by one parent to align with the parent at the expense of the other, and then one parent is totally left out. I'm seeing that quite a lot. So, it's a support group for all those parents, and I think the statistics are about 1 in 100 of parents that happens to, which is pretty high, and it can be extremely devastating for parents. And it's also about parents through the process of parenting, because we're so invested in it and we love our children so much that you just want to give it your all, but then sometimes we lose ourselves and our own identity, and we lose our own path and our purpose.
Especially once the child's left home and moved on into their own life, and suddenly the parent's going, well, what do I do now?
Exactly, empty nest syndrome. And then they're thinking, I'm lost. I don't have a purpose, I don't have an identity. So, and it can also be emotionally very intense when children leave home in that way. I know somebody who that happened to, and she thought, I'll be fine, So she went away on a holiday for a few days while her son was moving out, and at the very moment that he was leaving the house, she felt these heart pains. So her body, her physical body, and her soul was reacting even though she wasn't there. So it's amazing how physical body can tell us so much if we listen.
Now, obviously, there's also a spiritual aspect to this. How would you define that?
Well, in terms of what is my spiritual path?
Also, what the spiritual support aspect of the group would be there.
Sure. Okay. Well, I go in and work with people, and I go into what I call temple space, and I work with a lot of higher energies, a whole range, actually, ascended masters, higher beings, my spirit guides, angels, their spirit guides, their angels, and I channel through this energy, working obviously with the divine energy, the creational energy force coming through, and I get incredible confirmations and miracles, in sessions. I forget them because I bring them through and then I let them go, but I can give a couple of examples, which I just absolutely love this work. It's so special. So it's basically putting my ego aside and just allowing the information to come through. And for example, there was a little girl, because I love also working as well with adults as children. I love children, and I'm a bit of a big kid, so that that explains it. And there was this little girl, she was 10, she was so sweet, and she's working on things like self-esteem, that sort of, which is a common thing for young kids. And she was given an Akashic gift. Now, Akashic gifts are coming from your Akashic records, which is your information of your soul history from all lifetimes. And her gift was this beautiful glitter which rained down over her head and was giving her particular gifts. And I explained all this to her, and she said, "Oh gosh." And I said, "What?" And she said, "Oh, I just wrote a story on this." She said, "I had a bubble and the bubble popped and all this glitter fell over my head," because that was what was really significant to her soul at that time. So she was bringing that through herself.
That's
and then
brilliant.
I brought it through. And then, things like that. There was a woman who I was really guided to work on her, I think it was her right foot. And she was guided to get a particular type of essential oil and massage it in a certain way. And I talked about all that, and she said, and I don't know anything, before often I go into these sessions. And she said, "Oh, I can't believe, you picked that up." She goes, "I had like a tumory thing at the bottom of her leg, so she had surgery to remove it, and she'd lost a lot of circulation and so forth at the bottom of her leg. So that was why I was guided to go there and do all that work on that foot." And things like that happen all the time. There was another lady who just recently had a session with her, and I really got through strongly. She needed to swing on a swing, and it was honouring her inner child, that sort of thing. And she said, she says, that is my favourite thing, swinging. She told me after, she said, of all the things, that's my favourite thing. She said, I even love it so much that I've written a course, Swinging into Happiness.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. Yeah.
I thought, and this happens all the time, and it's just like, oh, thank you.
Do you get to a point, because I've spoken to a lot of people who work intuitively, obviously, and everyone's a little different. Now, some people get to a point where they get that level of confirmation. They go, well, yeah, of course, because, I knew it was going to be. And there's others that are still constantly amazed that they get that level of confirmation.
I always get constantly amazed.
You're still amazed.
And I go into sessions, and I try not to have self-doubt, and I just try and trust and go in, yes, and every time amazing things happen. Yeah. But I still go in like a little kid going, setting it all up and thinking, gee, hope it all works. But it all is, it always is incredibly, I think I like to try to retain that, the innocence of a child,
yes,
and not let that go. I don't want to become too, cynical and adult-like, because I really like to try and retain the energy.
And that joy,
Absolutely. That's so important, that joy vibration. And that's another thing that I do with my clients. There's an inspirational balanced life program I have where I work with them on what are the greatest things that give them joy, and we rate them, and then I try to incorporate them into their weekly schedule.
Yep.
So they're functioning from this really high vibration constantly, and not only is that impacting on their flow in their life and being able to manifest things easier for them, have a much better quality life, but it's also impacting on such a global scale, because we all feel that joy. Every time someone's in their joy, everyone picks up on that.
It becomes infectious, doesn't it?
It does. It does, absolutely. So
fantastic. Yeah. If people want to contact you, how can they best do that?
Okay, well, I'd love to hear from anyone that's interested in anything that I've talked about. With the holistic coaching, they can go to www.mycreativetherapies.com, and I also have a course as well that I'm offering that's really cool and is quite transformational, that people can inquire about. And I also have my Facebook group, Parents After Kids, and that is www.parentsafterkids.com. So it's easy, takes you straight to the Facebook group. And then there's the 7-day challenge on the Facebook site as well, Parents After Kids. And I'll be opening that up soon. We've just had a group go through, but I'll be opening it again soon for the next group that want to participate. And or if you've got any questions about anything, you're welcome. I also do spiritual mentoring for people, which I really love. So yeah.
Fantastic. Look, thank you so much for being part of Soul2Soul today.
I want to say thank you so much. You do such wonderful work
thank you.
With these interviews, and you and Patricia, and it's making an enormous impact, because I was really aware of this out in the world, in the cyber world, and it's such a gift to everyone, this show. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
That's kind. Thank you.
Thank you.